How's it going, guys? We are back here this week with rewriting into slope-intercept form. We're going to focus on rewriting equations that are not yet in the form of y equals mx plus b. Key thing is we need to make sure that on the left side the y is alone and isolated, and then on the right side it's in the form of mx. The x should go first before b. Okay, so let's just jump straight into it. So example 1, we have 4x minus 2y equals 12. And right off the bat, I noticed that, well, the y right here is on the left side, but it is not alone. I need to move everything else over to the other side. So let me go ahead and draw a line down the middle. And first thing I need to do before I get this by itself, I need to move over the 4x. 4x should be on the right side. Since it's positive, and if I want to move it, I need to do the opposite. So I'm going to subtract 4x. And whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. I know that these will cancel, and I will be left with negative 2y equals. Okay, and I want you guys to remember this. The 12 and the negative 4x, you cannot combine those. You need to leave them separate because one has an x and one does not. They're not like terms. So I'm going to put negative 4x and then 12. If you're wondering why I put the negative 4x first, well, it's because in slope-intercept form, the x goes first. Okay. All right, and the last step, if I want y by itself, there's a negative 2 being multiplied by it. So I need to do the opposite, which is divide. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other side. So I'll divide everything by negative 2. I know that these will cancel out. And I'm left with y equals negative 4 divided by negative 2 is positive 2. Don't forget the x. And then 12 divided by negative 2 is negative 6. And that is in slope-intercept form, y equals 2x minus 6. Y equals mx plus b. Let's try the next one. So the next one I have 2y plus 8x equals 1. Again, I see the y on the left side, so that's good, but it's not alone. So I need to move things over. First thing is, let me go ahead and move that 8x to the other side. The opposite of addition is subtraction. And whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. Hopefully you guys can see that this will cancel now. So on the left side, I have 2y equals, and I'll put whatever has the x first, so negative 8x, and then plus 1. Again, you cannot combine them because they do not both have x's. All right. And the last thing, to get y by itself, there's a 2 being multiplied by it. So I'm going to do the opposite, which is divide. And once I divide by 2, I need to do that to everything. All right, cancels. Here I have a y equals negative 8 divided by 2, which is negative 4. And then 1 divided by 2 is, make that into a decimal, 0.5. Or you could have just left it as 1 over 2, that's okay too. And there is an equation in slope-intercept form. Okay, I'll show you guys 2 more just in case. So in example 3, it looks a little bit more complicated, but it's not. It just has an extra step. I noticed that there are parentheses, so I can go ahead and just distribute that negative 3 inside, just like how we're used to. All right, so let me leave the left side alone. Y minus 4, and then on the right side, negative 3 times x is negative 3x. And then negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. And if you can see, we only have one step left actually. The y just needs to be alone, so I'm going to go ahead and move this negative 4 over by adding 4. It's the opposite. And whatever I do to one side, do to the other. These cancel. So what are we left with? We are left with y equals, the 4 does not get combined with the negative 3x. They do not have anything in common. They don't have the common variable. So we'll leave this alone, but we can combine 9 and 4. They're like terms. So that gives me 13. There we go. All right, one more. Example 4, we have 5 equals 2x minus y. I notice that the y is on the right side. I do not want it on the right side, I want it on the left side. So let's do that first. Let me move the y over. The y is currently a negative, so to move it over, I need to do the opposite, which is add it. Whatever I do to one side, do to the other. And I immediately see that this should cancel. Okay, the y and the 5, they cannot be combined, right? The y doesn't have a 5, so keep them separate. So let's do y plus 5 equals, and then 2x. Okay, and I just need to move one thing over. It's at 5 right there. I don't want that on the left side. So let's subtract it. Those cancel, and we are left with y equals, can we combine the 2x and negative 5? Hopefully you said no, because they don't both have an x, so they need to be separate. So I'll put 2x and then minus 5, and that is in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b.